given to my father's best friend. I call him Mr. E, who also worked in the same sort of deep black that my father did. I come to understand now through more sophisticated adult eyes that he was a handler. And he owned me from the time I was born to the time I was 7. And he trafficked me into child pornography.
Why would your parents allow that?
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Shark Out of Water here again. Welcome back to Shark Talks YouTube channel, where we talk about Christian themes, Christian conversations, anything to do with the Bible and just overall life, motivation, all that good stuff. So if you like that type of content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. But today we're going to do a reaction video. Before we get into that, I just want to say shout out to all the new subscribers, everybody who's been commenting on the videos. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and may you continue to get blessed by the Most High God. Make sure y'all tap into the rest of the content. Got a lot of great videos, a lot of great topics on the way, so stay tuned. And make sure you watch this video, of course. Now, with that being said, let's talk about the video. So, childhood trauma. We all have it to some degree in certain forms. Some have it better than others, some have it worse than others, but today we're going to look at a video with someone who was involved with a lot of childhood trauma in light of the Epstein cases, in light of the whole pedo ring that's getting exposed slowly for some reason. Well, not for some reason, we know the reason, but I thought this would be a great video to show that everybody got something on their plate, and that's why you should always treat somebody with respect, because you do not know what they've been through. Different people go through different situations. It doesn't have anything to do with skin color or anything like that. So make sure you treat people with respect and honesty, and look at their character before you look at their skin color. Childhood trauma is something that we all had to face at some point, whether it was at school or somewhere at home, by someone we trusted or we thought we trusted, and someone we thought we loved or someone we thought loved us. So if you dealt with any type of childhood trauma, this is for you. Leave your thoughts below, but be respectful. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. All praises to the Most High.
All right, Rebecca. Rebecca, where are you from originally?
Yeah, I grew up in New Hampshire, southern New Hampshire, Nashua. That was where I came of age there, but left pretty quickly as soon as I could. And I've been in Alaska for a while now, and that's really my home.
So the story you're about to tell is mostly in Alaska?
No, it's actually in New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, okay.
Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah, really a Boston suburb.
And tell me about your family growing up.
I want to say that it probably looked normal on the surface, but I also am kind of like, was it really true? What was happening behind closed doors was a different story. So, my mother was a homemaker, my father went to work, but I think that beyond that, the normalcy ends. There's a lot of things that were happening that caused me to dissociate and suffer a lot later in life. I'm sure my parents themselves came through a lot of abuse. So, and I think that normalcy on the surface, which I'm speaking of, probably caused me to feel like everything was okay. Like somebody's bringing in money and I've got food and shelter and clothing, and I'm going to school, so everything must be fine. And my parents are still married, but my mother had a dissociative identity disorder, formerly multiple personality disorder, and she had a Jekyll and Hyde personality. She would abuse me till I was unconscious.
What were her personalities?
Not remember.
Were there certain personalities that she would?
She had the ordinary personality, and then the main thing that I would see, she had almost like a very young part. I want to say almost a child part that would be emergent sometimes that needed care, and then another very violent part. And she would come out in that violent aspect and not remember what she had done. And I think I learned to forget what was happening inside of that.
Hey, so I never encountered somebody with this disorder that I know of. But that's just sad. Like, somebody can be a person this minute and then another person the next minute. Like, and imagine that being your own mother though. Like, that's tough. I ain't gonna lie to you. Definitely probably a spiritual aspect to it. Like, a lot of things I feel like people say are mentally wrong with them. A lot of time I think it's a spiritual connection to it, you know, not 100% of the time. And I don't know everything again, but if you're allowing your kid to be abused, something gotta be wrong with you. Like, you're letting something in your soul so you can't perceive reality right. But that's just my own take on what she just said.
So she was sexually abusing me, and then my father worked with a military industrial complex, Lockheed Martin. He was working with the CIA and also through subcontracts with, contracted with military, naval intelligence. So he traveled a lot. I didn't know too much because he had a high clearance. I didn't know what he was involved with. It wasn't till he died 5 years so, 2020 he died, and on his deathbed he revealed a lot about the secrecy of his work. But back to my early life, he was a severe alcoholic and also sexually abused me. So there's just a lot of instability there. But I think the story that I have today isn't just about mother, father, natal family. When I was born, I was given to my father's best friend. I call him Mr. E, who also worked in the same sort of deep black that my father did. I come to understand now through more sophisticated adult eyes that he was a handler. And he owned me from the time I was born to the time I was 7. And he trafficked me into child pornography.
Why would your parents allow that?
I don't know if they knew, and that may be.
That's why you gotta watch people around your kids,
especially
man.
My father probably had some idea, but I don't know. I wish I had asked him that before he had passed away. I wish I had asked, but I didn't have the courage. Did you know? Because I think I didn't want to know. And Dad is gone a lot, so anything could be happening. And my mother adored this man, Mr. E, my godfather. She thought the world of him. He would come bringing gifts, and he was grooming me to feel special.
He had everyone's trust?
Yes, complete and utter trust.
Super nice people be the ones sometimes.
I'm just pausing, journeying back into that landscape and that terrain in my life. So
I'm so sorry this happened to
I think
you.
with everybody enjoying him so much, I enjoyed him too, and I liked the attention. My mother was violent. My father was sometimes very just checked out with his addiction. So somebody paying attention to me, like, that's such a ripe and fertile terrain through which a child can be abused, like trusting the adult. Yeah. So I didn't really realize what was happening to me. And for the first few years of life, my main memories come around age 3 or 4. For the first couple of years, I don't know exactly how he was using me. I would be gone for a few days with him. I remember going in a vehicle, waving to my mom, and my mom's all excited. Oh, you're going off with your godfather. That's great. And also, he'd come out of the military. He was with the Air Force. He had a private plane and a pilot's license, and we flew places with other kids. I
just want to say, man, hey, her mama and her daddy a fool for letting her be taken by a grown man that's not related to her in any way. Like, not that it makes a difference, because you got family members that can do you wrong and abuse you, but more often than not, I feel like a stranger that you work with, you're going to trust this stranger with your child. Like, that's insane. Like, and come to find out he might have been a handler. Like, all this stuff ties in to that Jeffrey Epstein stuff, these secret file rings, and they're slowly getting exposed, day by day. Only the Lord knows what's really going on behind the scenes with a lot of higher up people. But I tell you this much, the kids don't deserve this. The kids are the ones who are truly suffering, and if we don't do anything about it, or if you let this happen in your household, you're part of the problem. I heard a good quote the other day. It says, "Evil wins when good men do nothing, and good women do nothing." So if you even think something like this is happening to a child, you should immediately call the child services or the police or something. I don't know who was around her or her family, but they should have seen some red flags. Her mother acting, this way and that way every other day, and maybe she hid it well, or maybe she took a lot of medication, who knows? But the father's a severe alcoholic. Like, it's a lot of red flags here, and it's crazy if they have people around them. And maybe that's how the uncle or whoever, the godfather, seen that. He's seen, low-hanging fruit. So he was like, all right, let me go ahead and try this family. And that's how it starts. The devil only needs a crack to get his foot in. He's a crackhead. You let a crack into your marriage, into your child's childhood, into your finances, he's gonna wiggle his way in. He's gonna find a crack to get into the situation. So be very careful about introducing new lovers, new friends, new maybe family members you haven't seen in a long time. Like, just be very careful, because people can have some crazy agendas behind them. And I pray for everybody's children who watches this. And if you are a child, first of all, you shouldn't be watching this. Go watch cartoons or something.
You need to leave.
But if you are a child, just know that you need to tell a trusted adult about things you see and you hear, because you never know when it's too late.
My recall is, it's in fits and starts. Around age 4 is when they really start getting clear. And it would take me to events with other children that were in concrete, cold environments. I don't know exactly where. We were hypnotized and also drugged. And I don't know, I suspect ketamine or its analog, which, causes complete amnesia and compliance, utter and complete compliance. So it's amazing that I've been able to have recall about any of these experiences. And with that, I want to say too, there's some element of want to know, don't want to know, want to know, don't want to know. And as I've aged, and Mr. E died just over a year ago, and that's when a flood of memories started coming back. Because it's like, what? It's safe to remember. As my father was dying, it was safe to remember what he had, had done to me. And my mother is still alive in her very late 80s. So I think this is just a time in my life where a lot is coming up from the depths of my psyche that I kept in a vault forever to stay safe.
She repressed it.
And I tried to move on with my life. But in the scenarios that he brought me into, I was so deviant. And I think that's why I couldn't look at this for so long. Because I didn't want to believe it was true. Like, how much depravity are we capable of as humans, right? It's shocking. I think also because it was like, this is my family and this happened with the people who are supposed to be protecting me. And they're supposed to care about me and all of that. I'm sure you've heard this before, like, how does this happen? I and the other children were raped in horrible ways, horrifying ways. Anally, a lot of oral rape. I had a lot of dental issues and things with my jaw that I kind of wonder why there wasn't any flag at my school about the physical signs that I was having. And I think again, that what's coming to my mind here with you now is like I felt special, and so I was complacent with the abuse. And if you add drugging on top of that, you're not going to fight. I feel like I almost looked forward to him coming for me, even though that's very twisted, extremely twisted. But when you're a kid, this becomes normalized. This is what the people who love you do to you.
Especially when it starts at such a young age.
It starts so soon, you don't have a chance to...
You don't know right from wrong or up from down.
Well, and even I think about this too, as I work with my young parts they don't have language yet. Things happened to me before I could speak, before I could walk or talk. So that, sort of, the odds are a bit stacked against you when that's going on. Like I'm proud of the journey I've made since then. And it went on for so many years, yeah.
How long did this go on?
Well, he moved on out of my life when I was 7. And that's the last, yeah.
You aged out?
Yeah, that was it. I was too old after age 7, done. I think they can only use you for so long. And there might have been things going on that would be, with something happening that I might be in a compromised position according to their mind, that I would tell, or, would they get in trouble in some way? I'm trying to find which way to go, and it's emotional. I mean, you can't tell the story without some of that. But it seems like a right time on our planet for this to all be coming up and out, so this collective can heal.
So much of it gets hidden.
It's so, in anything, a wound that's kept in secrecy and darkness is just going to fester. Yeah. And I think that's part of why I'm here. It's not just for me, but for this is still going on. That's what pains me. I'm 53. This happened 50 years ago. Oh my God. I can't. It pains me to think that there are, as we speak, children in our world that are being trafficked into all kinds of, there's sex trafficking. You know about this. This is, you hear about lots of this. And it's my job as a survivor, I think, at this point, because I've healed so much, to be able to tell the story. And I don't think people know necessarily the depravity. This wasn't just my godfather and I in a back room with a camera. He was a photographer. But there was more to it. I was raped with objects. I had a gun in my mouth, a gun in my vagina, loaded guns. They filmed that. And I wish I could unforget that. I wish I would not remember that. I'm not saying that to traumatize your audience or anybody else, but the level of deviance has no ceiling with this kind of group. And I recognize too that I never looked at this, as I kind of tried to grow up and go on with my life, bandage things up and move on. I didn't realize the sophistication, the precision, and the intelligence involved in what I would say now would be an organized crime network. It was much bigger than him. I think he was being handled by people too. I mean, I can't say I don't know. I was a kid.
So she mentioned that this is only the small scale version of what's going on. And again, she said this happened 50 years ago. So you take that into account. You got people doing stuff behind the scenes. They're answering the people. They're answering the people. They're answering the people. It's a whole dark network of child pedophiles and child pornography, bro. Like, it's sickening. And it ties into the Bible. It ties into the worship of Baal, because Baal was the Canaanite deity for child sacrifice. You may think that, what does BAAL have anything to do with what's going on in this video and what's going on with like Epstein and stuff like that? Take a closer look through a spiritual sense. All this is reminiscent of what was going on in the days of Elijah. You have people sacrificing their kids to this deity known as Baal. They would most likely do sexual things to him, but he was a child sacrifice god. Modern ages, so there are more ways to skin a cat, so to speak. That's why I say you have to understand that there are dark people in high places. Ephesians 6:12. We fight not against flesh and blood, but those who do dark things in high places. Now, there is a whole network of this going on. There are people operating in your city that's doing this. There are people operating in my city that does this. There are people that operate in different states around the world, worldwide. Like, we've seen that in the news, like with the Epstein Island stuff. Like, all of this has something to do with each other. Not saying that she might have known Epstein or anything like that, but she's dealing with some Epstein-like people. So you have to be very careful. And I don't care, I'm about to sound like a dad right now. You have to really think about who you let in your life Notice the signs of when somebody has ill intentions. Don't always immediately trust folk, because just because they show up with gifts, they show up being nice all the time, that doesn't mean a thing. That doesn't mean a thing. That could be somebody trying to get closer to you so they can try to do something to you. Don't trust people you meet online. I mean, with the rise of like Roblox and Minecraft, online servers, playing online, Fortnite, stuff like that, the landscape of creeps and pedos have changed. And that's why I'm thankful we do got like Chris Hansen type people that's out here catching these folks, because I honestly couldn't do it. I'd be in jail. I ain't gonna lie to you. I couldn't sit there and track a person down who is willingly looking for kids, meet up with them, and then turn them over to the authorities. Like, I don't trust myself enough to do that.
Oh, call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me.
And that's just me. That's just me being honest, a dad and stuff like that. But this goes back to the point, you have to monitor your kids' accounts. Monitor who they spend their time with. And this is not to speak fear into you, but to open your eyes and be aware of the darkness that permeates the world sometimes. If you see something, say something. If you think a friend or your family member is getting abused, report it. Like, I don't care, like small or big. Of course, with reason, talk it over with a very trusted adult before you do so. But if that trusted adult, if you only have one trusted adult in your life, then go ahead and report it. I pray for those who are being abused. I pray for those who have been abused in the past and dealing with the traumas associated with it. Let's fight this. Let's pray against this evil spirit, because that's exactly what it is. That's conquering the minds of men and women out here to do things with small children or any type of child, that's sick, you need help, and may God have mercy on your soul. That's all I have to say about that. Hopefully somebody got something out of this video. Shout out to everyone who watched the full video. I know this was a lot, and this may have stirred some feelings in some people. If you have been through this type of thing, my heart goes out to you. I'm praying for you, and I hope you do well. Understand that you have a testimony now. You have a duty to help those who can't be helped or didn't have help. If you can help somebody who is going through something you've been through or something similar, you're doing God's will. But with that being said, may God bless y'all. Again, my name is Shark Out of Water. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the new subscribers. May God bless you and your people. May you stay protected at all times, away from the enemy and all things that are sent to destroy you. May no weapon formed against you prosper. And may God just watch over you and your children and your loved ones for all your days. In Jesus' name, amen. Peace out, man.